Welcome to Entrepreneurs, Executives, and Eccentrics, a podcast dedicated to the stories, strategies, and secrets of remarkable individuals. Join us as we engage in enlightening conversations with intriguing entrepreneurs, accomplished executives, and fascinating eccentrics, exploring their journeys, triumphs, and unconventional wisdom that has shaped their success. Get ready to meet Barbara Strait, founder of Pickleball in Paradise and the owner of Strait Travel, a multi-million-dollar agency specializing in high-end travel. She pioneered the pickleball travel niche, partnering with top pros like Kyle Yates, Riley Newman, and Lindsay Newman to host exclusive trips. With a background in sales and education, she built her businesses from the ground up, securing the trademark for Pickleball in Paradise and dominating the industry. Balancing entrepreneurship and family, Barbara has created a powerhouse brand at the intersection of travel and sports. Hello, Barbara. Tell me who you are and what you do.
Hey, Scott. I am Barbara Strait. I own Strait Travel, and I also created and owned and operate Pickleball in Paradise.
So what's funny is that I think we were talking about this earlier, but I love the idea that you literally you materialize this. Well, first of all, congratulations on the travel company. You're absolutely crushing it with the amount of employees you've got and contracts you have. But I just let's touch on the pickleball thing just for a second. You literally created an idea, this idea of pickleball travel. You branded it with intellectual property, with Pickleball in Paradise. Careful, people, she will go after you. Don't use that on your own, right?
Trademarked, yes.
And trademark. And now you've got this kind of succinct, got a beginning, a middle, and an end product that you're selling. Let's kind of talk about that just for a second, then we'll go back to the travel for a minute. How did you develop that?
So, well, during COVID, I started playing pickleball along with millions of people, right? And I also was, I had my travel company, which was doing nothing at the time because it was during COVID. Everything was shut down. And when things started to pick up, I was like, I got to go back to traveling a lot because I do go to the Caribbean at least once a month, Europe a lot, because I have to see these new locations and et cetera. And I thought, well, I want to keep playing pickleball when I am going, getting back, not on the road in the plane. And maybe I should start some groups of people going to play pickleball together. And then I took a class with Kyle Yates. He's kind of he's the GOAT of pickleball, outstanding professional player. And I said, hey, Kyle, you want to go to Jamaica, full expenses paid, and teach some classes at a sandals resort in Jamaica? And he's like, sure thing. And so I got the space, reserved the courts, and that was our very first trip in 2021. Since then, we have sent more than 50 groups to the Caribbean, and we are growing like wildflower. So
love it. Okay, so like I said before, you really materialized an idea. You literally just pull out of the idea out of the air. And then how many people are going on these trips? Is it like a 20 thing or like a 10 thing?
It depends. We work with resorts that have 4 dedicated courts all the way up to 12 dedicated courts. And we never want people to be standing around not having a spot on the court. So it really depends. Yeah, we cap it. Sometimes it's 12 rooms, 24 rooms. And we have our rate of return is just exponential. And we want that, right? We want a VIP experience. So we are very careful of how many players and really, the agenda of the whole time that they're there.
Okay, so you create this product. It's really is a product you've branded. You're the intellectual property. How are you marketing that? Are you kind of doing that? Like, how are you doing the marketing?
Well, I had to buy pickleballinparadise.com. Somebody owned it and they wanted a pretty penny for it. So I bought it because if this is going to be my brand, I have to have the right website. And I have a great web designer that helps me with SEO. And so it started marketing with the website and honestly through social media and sharing the website. And then I got 2 other really big name pros, which was Lindsay and Riley Newman, brother and sister combo. And they're in the pro circuit. And I had them go on a trip with me. That helped really, with marketing that because people are like, oh, we could go hang out with Lindsay and Riley Newman in the Caribbean. And then just more and more trips, and it just kept getting shared over and over and over again, which brought more people to the website, which has a website ranking, higher and higher.
Yeah, you're in an industry that almost markets itself, though, right? You're in an industry. It's one of the rare things that people really want to go out of their way to go share it and whatever. It's kind of that World War II. There's the lathe that create another lathe. It could actually machine that can create the same machine but with itself or whatever. The travel and what you do is a self. I don't know. It's a self machine, reciprocating machine. Is kind of that helps you kind of market itself. So okay, that's amazing. Okay, so let's talk about your travel. How did you come up with this idea? How long have you been doing this? How have you scaled this? Because you've gotten quite big, and you did it in a small amount of time. How did you do that?
Yeah, so I used to book Disney World vacations part-time when I was a stay-at-home mom and I was a teacher. So I have my master's in education, stayed home with my kids. I am a workhorse, so I couldn't just be a nanny, although I was a great one. I felt like I always had to bring in some sort of income, and we would go to Disney World all the time. So I reached out to a big company, and they hired me on as an independent contractor, and I became the Disney planner in the area of Mooresville, North Carolina, which I was working or living at the time. And everybody told everybody, you have to use Barb. She will plan your entire, and you can't do Disney without knowing what you're doing. And I knew Disney so well that then I made more money doing that than I did teaching when I went back to the classroom. And I couldn't keep that up and be a great mom. And I got very little help from the company that I was working with. I created everything myself, all of the documents, the itinerary, the marketing materials, everything. And I thought, why not combine my background? And I used to be in sales. So I have a background before I taught, background in sales. I have my master's in education, and now I have quite a few years into travel. I think it's time to start my own brand and train people how to sell, how to help people curate an amazing vacation, being knowledgeable. So, teaching my ICs that knowledge sells, right? You have to know your product and your product well. And you have to be able to talk to people, and you have to be able to market. So, within my agency, I teach sales, I teach marketing, I teach the power of knowledge and how to be a great travel professional, how to maintain relationships and network. So I took everything that I felt like that company didn't have and created a company that was completely the opposite.
Okay, I love it. Okay, so how many people are you traveling per year with that company? Is it like, how big is this?
My gosh, great question.
Well,
I
yes.
don't know how many that we have, but I mean, we sell tens of millions of in travel packages a year. So I have about 50.
I just love that you literally just created a company out of thin air. I mean, obviously, the other company wasn't doing it for you, and you're like, bye. Right? You can start your competitor.
Absolutely. Well, and I knew, with my background and having, the ability to train people on sales. I mean, my advisors, that when they have a one-on-one call with me, sometimes I'm like, man, I could charge a fortune for, for this, that people reach out for like a coach, a business coach. But it's, it's my brand, and I want everyone to be uberly successful with it because, I want to continue those 5-star Google reviews and the referrals and, and continue to grow.
Love it. Okay, so what was the hard part? So you burn your proverbial ships at the shore of the new world with the old company, right? You start your new organization, and where was your first dollar made? Who was your first employee? Like, how did that work exactly?
It was someone that I taught with, and she loved Disney, and she actually used a friend's cousin or something like that for her Disney trip, and it was a horrible experience that this Disney planner really didn't prepare her well at all. And then she saw what I was giving my clients, and she thought, oh, how night and day is this? And she's like, I think I would love to do this. And I was like, well, you can be my first independent contractor. So she was my first, and 2 more slowly came on that were my old clients that, I would send on vacation, and then another one, and then another one. And they, are like, wanted to join forces as well. And then a few months later, it was March 2020. So
yeah, oh yeah, right. You're like, yeah, so I've got this brand new boat, can't drive it. Sorry, end of the world, COVID. And then so you've obviously recovered since COVID. You've got you got a secondary business with a pickleball thing. Anybody not necessarily into travel. It sounds like you could probably be a consultant for almost any business, is what it feels like. Not just travel, because the zeros and ones are the same. You still have to make sales. You still have to be people. You still have to be trained. You still have to pay your damn taxes. You still have to have insurance. You still have to have all the things it takes to run almost any business. Except you had to fight your way through, the kind of bears and lions and such. Do you have any advice for anybody kind of starting a business? Not necessarily travel, really just generally speaking, what would you have done differently?
I would have done more business training before I even got started. One of my favorite books is called The E-Myth.
It's the third time I've heard this book in the last 4 days. And yeah, of course. Everybody,
Isn't that funny? Yeah. And it really is true. I mean, you have to, back office and commissions and accounting and insurance and overhead. I mean, just because I am great at selling, at the time, Walt Disney World packages, doesn't mean I know what I'm doing as an entrepreneur. So I put in a lot of time learning all of the aspects of building a business. And that is my biggest piece of advice, is to read the E-Myth. First of all, that's a great, easy read, or use Audible, which is my go-to as I'm so busy. But, making sure that you have a little bit of knowledge before you jump right in. I mean, it doesn't take that long to, take a few days to really learn QuickBooks. Take those pieces. Even WordPress, although I have a web designer, I have to get into WordPress constantly. So I wear a lot of hats and train daily. So just because you know a product well or can sell a product well does not mean that you can build a company well.
It's just funny. I mean, I've talked to Fortune 500 CEOs. I've talked to rock stars. I've talked to sports figures, NFL players. I've interviewed a ton of people, right? And this is definitely one of those things I keep hearing over and over again. And that's just because you're really good at the thing, right, that you're going to be vending as whatever you're doing, doesn't mean you're going to be able to do the actual zeros and ones of execution of a business without the right knowledge and understanding. Because just because you're a good accountant doesn't mean you should own an accounting firm. Not yet, anyway. You should understand all the different things that go around it.
Yeah, I'm a one-man show. So it was, other than, I had to, now I have people in place, but for a while it was me and my web designer, because I did not know how to design a website. That one I had to pay for, but yeah. So as much as you can on the forefront of basic business, what it takes.
That's glorious. Okay. So, I don't know. Again, it's just, I keep hearing, I'm going to re-listen to it. I have the book somewhere, but I don't think I've listened to it or read it in 10 years. Right.
Yeah. There's so many good ones, right? Even within my agency, we are doing a book club. We're reading Zig Ziglar, How to Close a Sale. Right. And, there's so many audibles and books out there about starting a business and, sales and marketing and, all the importance of building connections and networking. And so the more you know, and I always tell my agent advisors this, right? The more you know, the more you sell. The more you know, the more successful you're going to be in your business. So
let's pull that thread up a little. Let's pull that thread just a little bit more. Is there another couple of things that you could, advice-wise, that you could, if you could go back to, pre-COVID Barbara, teach your mom Barbara and say, stop, other than the obviously get prepared. Is there anything else you would tell her?
Yes. Are you kidding me? I did a lot of puzzles during COVID, and I should have been building my back office, but it was just, it was a timing that you didn't. I would say, operations and onboarding, to have that already kind of outlined. I wish that I started with an office of of, a dry erase wall on every single wall to have have a timeline and what operating systems I needed. So even before training, it's what do I need, and what's it going to look like? And I think if I had a timeline of that, it would have been super super helpful.
You sound like a battle-hardened, grizzled veteran because I've started I mean, I have a couple companies, but I've definitely failed a ton of probably 15, 20 years ago to kind of get to where I was. And it sounds like you had success it took a minute, right? But you eventually, you woman handled it as opposed to man handle. You woman handle it into action, which is amazing. My biggest takeaway was go hire a bookkeeper. What's that?
Yeah, I said I don't like to fail, and if it takes more time, and it takes me staying up till 1, it takes me staying up till 1. I've ran 11 full marathons and close to 100 half marathons. It takes grit and it takes determination and a lot of energy because you're going to be working overtime. And I had, my kids are now 12 and 14. So they've seen me create this. They've seen me in my office a ton of hours. And that's another thing too, is getting prepared for that balance. My biggest role is being a mom. So I can't ever forget that. And I know a lot of people that regret starting a business because it did take them away from their kids. And I don't, because I feel like I've balanced it pretty well. And even with traveling, thank God for FaceTime. I help my kids with my homework or with their homework when I'm in Jamaica. So.
See, people regret starting businesses because it takes away from their family. See, I'm of the belief that working for someone takes time away from the family. Not having the flexibility takes away from time with the family. Not having the economic stability because you're dependent upon some schmucky CEO at some whatever that doesn't make the wrong decision or needs to boost their share price in December and fires half the staff. I believe
if
the
you
only
do it
way,
right. I mean,
right.
If you. And that is, going in knowing that you are going to have to, figure out accounting and your back office and what operations you're using. Because if you don't, then you're going to be working. I know someone very close to me that owns a business and has for 40 years. She probably works 80 hours a week because she doesn't still have all of those pieces in place. So,
I've definitely created companies where I would like I just made a job for myself. Like, what did I do? I'm not a business owner. I'm just an employee of a business I happen to have created. And it wasn't until I had a really close friend's dad. Like, what are you doing? You just happen to own the company that you're working your butt off for. When you do the math, you're making minimum wage. What are you doing? And is it just you realize that leverage comes through money and humans, right? There's only really
Absolutely.
2 ways to kind of leverage your time and whatever. So, okay. So what is the future? Okay. So before we get to the future, how did you understand that you needed to own the intellectual property for Pickles in Paradise? So Pickleball in Paradise, because ultimately some people have all these ideas, but they don't really understand that in order to make this sellable, right? As maybe a business to someone else, if you were to sell this to private equity or something, you've got to own the PE. How did you know this? Was it also from the E-Myth?
No, you mean that I trademarked the product?
Yeah, but you understood that you had to do that to begin with. That's not. I don't feel like that's common understanding, and you obviously have it.
Well, there is quite a few. If a lot of people have tried to start something similar, and they haven't been as successful. And I don't think that they are as successful because they don't have the extensive travel knowledge that I have. And I did bring in somewhat of a business partner who she was invited into the Pickleball Hall of Fame. She knows pickleball. She has ran tournaments her whole life. And with my background in travel and her background in the sport, it's a win-win. But I knew that I had to do that and really create a brand, because if somebody put on there, which I do have to shut people down, there was a big resort a big company in the Caribbean that printed all of their marketing materials of come play pickleball in Paradise. And I had to send that awful email that said you have to shred all of those marketing materials and change your website because you can't get confused by it. People might then go there and think that they're attending one of our trips. So I knew that was really important as people were coming out with different catchphrases in the new crazy world of pickleball. Yeah, that's why. And it took 2 years, I think, for the trademark to go through. So luckily I did do that right away.
Yeah, and there may be a world in a couple of years where you find out that Pickleballs in Paradise as a brand may be worth an absolute fortune, right? In terms of, especially if you kind of build this up correctly, you build the right pipeline, and it's just a constant flow, and then resorts like Sandals may come to you if they are already, right? Go set this up, go set up a group of this. Let's do this twice a year. And now you just go multiply that by every Sandals resort.
Well, Sandals is who we work with the closest. And we have helped them with what nets to get, the best balls to use in the Caribbean because it is hot. We worked with them on setting up like what we want. We have a full breakfast at the courts in the morning because we start early because it does get hot. We're done at 11 o'clock and then people play later in the evening under the lights if they'd like to. But that has made us really successful is working so closely with companies like that are coming to us. We've had them come to us to have our training pros go to Jamaica and Turks and Caicos and train their tennis pros with pickleball. So when people are going, even just if it's a family of 4, when they want to take a lesson on property, that they can do so. So we do 90% of the pickleball trips that happen with Sandals and Beaches. 90% is what they told me. So, and we only go to places that I will go to and that are up to our standards. We, are pretty 5-star VIP experience. We don't add on a ton of fees. So if you compare us to, there's 2 other companies that do this well. Our prices are amazing. And so and like I said, our return on players is just through the roof. We're just crazy, crazy busy this year. It's just awesome.
Barbara, congratulations on creating something from nothing. You literally created a business that employs humans from nothing. You did it. It's
Thanks,
and I love how you did it. You're doing, I know, but you did it something that's fun, right? You did something that's you're actually doing something that's fun and you made it all happen. Thank you very much for doing this. I'll include the links of Pickleballs in Paradise, all the different things at the bottom of this episode. And it was lovely meeting you.
Thank you. You too, Scott. And it's pickleball, not S, pickleballinparadise.com. But yes, you're going to include that. And thank you. Thank you so much, Scott. I hope to see you in the Caribbean on a pickleball trip sometime.
Absolutely. Bye.